All right, so final thoughts. We're kicking around some ideas. And, Jack, you sort of went back to the postseason in the World Series and the way that Joe Maddon and Terry Francona managed their bullpens, going to their key guys, their closers early. That's the exception to the rule, but you think maybe this year it might become sort of a rule?
I wonder if it'll have a trickle-down effect on some managers to think that if you're playing an important game, even if it's in May, say, for instance, George Girardi, do you bring Adelin Betances in the 5th or the 6th inning in a big at-bat against the Red Sox, say Mookie Betts is at the plate because he's the best equipped guy to get you that out? I know people are going to say, well, the postseason is different. You've got off days. It's a fewer amount of games. It's do or die. That's why a Francona could go to Miller earlier or a Maddon could go to Chapman earlier. I understand all of that. Yeah. There are also games you got to win in May. And if you are the Yankees and Girardi and you thought there was an opportunity to do that, I think you do it. Someone asked Joe Girardi, I believe it was Chad Jennings, someone asked him that question last spring, and Joe poo-pooed it. But I think managers, after watching the postseason, have to think about it more.
Well, that's going to be great for our jobs, right? Because let the second-guessing begin. If he does it early and it works out, we praise him. If it doesn't, then we second-guess him. But, you know, Jack talks about the bullpen, which is the most exciting part of the teams now all around Major League Baseball. I'm going to talk about probably the most boring part, and that's the bench players, the extra guys. I lived it for 3 years with the Yankees. What's the bench going to look like? Romine's obviously going to be your catcher. Tyler Austin, we don't really know. Torreyes did a nice job. Aaron Hicks. You got Rep Snyder in that mix. And I think back to the teams that I was a part of, we always had veteran players on the bench, and you always had a switch hitter or a left-handed hitter for pinch hitting opportunities. You don't see that now. And I wonder, with the market kind of collapsing for some of the big names, does it collapse for some of the veteran guys who can't get an everyday job, and the Yankees reach out and say, listen, we're not going to give you a lot of money, but we're going to give you a chance to play in New York, maybe play for a contender, and be a mentor to some of these young players? Kind of an interesting thought.
I don't think it's going to happen, but I think it's very intriguing. And a couple of names you could think about, Luis Valbuena would be one, and then even a guy like Pedro Alvarez. He had himself a nice season with the Orioles last year, 22 homers, I believe, and he can't find a job right now. John brings up a great point. When the Yankees were winning and they had the teams that were going to the postseason and doing damage, I mean, you looked at some of those benches, Tim Raines, Darryl Strawberry, Cecil Fielder, guys on the bench who were putting fear into the opposition.
Yeah, it's not going to happen now because the dynamics and the finances are totally different. But some of those young guys on the bench, they've kind of been labeled as role players now at a young age. It's completely changed from when I was playing.
Yeah, but then your go-to lefty off the bench is the switch hitter Aaron Hicks. I'm not sure from what you saw last season. I think you at least roll the dice, don't you, with a veteran lefty, bring him to camp?
I think you throw some things out there, some very affordable contracts, and again, an opportunity to play in New York, play for the Yankees, or very attractive to those veteran guys who can't get an everyday job.